Someone just randomly shrieking in the background? Okay. Only on a Mr. Bungle song. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album California by Mr. Bungle. Now, it has been quite some time since I've heard a Mr. Bungle album here on my channel, and so far the only one I've listened to is their debut self-titled album, which was very crazy to say the least, and I really want to hear more from them, so I figured I would check out their third studio album California that they released in 1999. You guys in the comments have been saying that this one is quite different from their debut. They kind of take things in a very different direction with their style. So yeah, I'm really excited to check this album out and just see what I'm going to think of it. Alright, so getting California started is track 1, which is called Sweet Charity. There's a very loose, relaxed, kind of calm nature to this song.
Forget everything. Sweet charity.
Man, I really do love Mike Patton's voice. He can take it into these really low, kind of demented sounding registers, which I love. Like, there's such a deepness to his voice. It's really rich in that way. Alright, completely changing up the tone of this song. I really am loving the percussive elements on this one. So many really unique sounds going on. I really love how theatrical they make their music. Mr. Bungle always just brings such a dramatic flair to it. Well, that was track 1, Sweet Charity. I was really enjoying how they were changing up the tone of that song so much. It started off with those seagulls and you could hear the waves. It had this really relaxed, beachy, summery quality to it. And then when his voice got really low and it got really minimalistic sounding without many instrumentals going on, it took on this really ominous, kind of dark and demented sound to it. Moving on to track 2 is None of Them Knew They Were Robots. The song is so interesting. There's a jazziness to it, but then again, it has that sort of ominous tone to it as well. There's kind of an old-fashioned sound to this song, if that makes sense. It's kind of reminiscent of something you'd hear while swing dancing or something. Like, it has that style to it. Just kind of this oldies flair going on. That effect almost sounded like a car crash. There's just so many sounds going on, man. I love the drums here, that percussive element they're using. That bass in the background, man, it's got such a great sound to it. Again, it's bringing a sort of jazziness to this song. So much distortion on the vocals there. It almost sounded like a dog barking. Well, that was track 2, None of Them Knew They Were Robots. That one was just an absolute crazy fusion of so many different genres. Mr. Bungle never fails to impress me on how many different styles that they can bring to their music. It's incredible. And then his vocals too on that one were all over the place. At times you had all that distortion, bringing a lot of intensity, and then he'd have a sort of like upbeat, happy-go-lucky sound to it, and then it would get really pulled in and ominous sounding, and he would almost whisper some of the vocals. Alright, moving on to track 3 is Retrovertigo. It's like this song is gradually building up. It's introducing these layers of instruments. Now we've got this percussion, which is just bringing this really odd sound. I love how delicate his voice is at times on this track. It is just bringing a lot of softness. There's like a little bit of distortion with his voice, I'm noticing. They're being pretty subtle with it though. That was track 3, Retrovertigo. I was really enjoying his voice on that one, how different it was. Like he was bringing a lot of different styles to his vocal delivery. And I just love with Mr. Bungle, they infuse so many different instrumentals on. It brings so many different sounds to their music. You had those chimes sprinkled in. The percussion was doing something really funky with the sound on that one too. Like it had this gentleness to it at the beginning, but then when the percussion came in, it was bringing a very different tone to that song, and it was kind of meshing the two together. But I'm going to move on to track 4, which is called The Air Conditioned Nightmare. Okay, now they're bringing the fun on this one. That one started off with just so much going on sonically. His vocals on the chorus there, it's like it's alternating between the sides of my headphones. It's really cool. It's almost like a call and response type style of vocalization, but it's with himself, if that makes sense. Yeah, now there's such a lightheartedness to this song. Someone just randomly shrieking in the background? Okay. Only on a Mr. Bungle song. That was track 4, The Air Conditioned Nightmare. That one was so entertaining to listen to. I loved all of the variety they were bringing. It would be all happy and upbeat and kind of like a springtime lightness to its sound, and then they would just bring so much intensity. They had some distortion and sort of a darkness to that song too, and they would just go back and forth so much. Moving on to track 5 is Ars Moriendi. All right, now they're bringing in an accordion. It sounds like laser beams going off. I just love how Mr. Bungle so boldly pairs this nu metal intensity with all of these weird, funky styles. They bring in so many different elements to their music. That was track 5, Ars Moriendi. My gosh, that one was bringing so many different sounds to it. It was even hard to keep up while I was listening to it with what I was hearing. I really enjoyed the accordion through that whole thing. It was bringing this sort of Italian, old-fashioned sound to it. Yet again, they're kind of leaning into that on this album. There's this sort of retro flair almost that it has to it, but they're pairing it with these really intense moments of energy that just come at you out of nowhere. I love how they're doing that. But moving on to track 6 is Pink Cigarette. I love how he was saying the word hush, and there is something really toned down and sort of muffled about this song. It's almost like he's whispering the words. I love this tone of voice for Mike Patton, how he just has such a commanding presence with his voice. It has this really clear, deep quality to it. It sounds like a horn honking. That was track 6, Pink Cigarette. Such a strange ending to that one. It's almost like because that song was so relaxed, it was like that moment of peacefulness had to come to an end, and so they just put that really jarring ending on it. He had this great tone to his voice, this sort of deep richness, which I really enjoy from Mike Patton. His voice is just so clear, and it has a really demanding presence to it. Moving on to track 7 is Golem to the Bionic Vapour Boy. This one should be interesting. I love how at the beginning it sounded like he was winding something up. So much distortion with this one on the vocals. I find it interesting. This one's like the polar opposite of that last track, Pink Cigarette. This one's really fun and there's all that distortion, and then the last track, his voice was so clear and soothing. There's like a really sharp quality to this song. Like it has this quick back and forth sound to it. That was track 7, Golem to the Bionic Vapour Boy. Not really sure why they decided to call it that, to be honest. Certainly a unique track title, but that one they were definitely having a lot of fun with it. A ton of different sounds and elements going on, sort of an electronic quality to it as well. And with all that distortion on his voice, I couldn't even tell what he was saying. Just kind of a, again, dark, ominous quality, but then it had this really quirky playfulness going on too. But moving on to track 8 is the Holy Filament. Were those breathing sounds that I just heard in the background there? There's something so big and grand about the sound of this song. It really commands your attention. It's almost like this song is rising up, like it kind of had this more sludgy, darker tonal quality. And now you've got this chorus, it's almost like you're rising up into heaven or something. That was track 8, The Holy Filament. That one just caught my attention right off the bat. It had such a strong sound to it, if that makes sense. Toward the start, it was almost like you were in the jungle or something. It had this sort of tribal quality to it, and then it was like that song just rose up out of that toward the end. When those chorus sounding vocals came in, it just kind of lightened up a bit with its tone, and I liked how they had that dynamic going on. It was like you kind of started off down in the dark and it just rose up out of that. Moving on to track 9 is Vanity Fair. I really love how it sounds like they have multiple vocalists, but it's all Mike Patton just doing his craziness. His voice is just so diverse. He can do so much with it. Alright, now they've got this organ coming in, and I don't know what this other sound effect they're using is. It's really cool. It's almost like you're being electrocuted. That was track 9, Vanity Fair. That track had this really relaxed back and forth quality to it, but they were interjecting these moments of just absolute craziness where the sound would completely change up. Again, just Mr. Bungle throwing so much on one track and somehow just making it into this quirky, funky masterpiece of different sounds that somehow are interwoven together so well. But moving on to the final song on California is track 10, which is called Goodbye Sober Day. That's a cool effect. It's got this sort of springy quality to it. So much intensity. I love how you just said Milky Way, and now there's all of this electronic noise going on. It kind of just reminds me of Stars in the Sky. I'm not sure what language that was in. Alright, this song is just going insane. Well, that was track 10, Goodbye Sober Day. That album certainly ended on a really intense, ominous note, with all of those shrieks and stuff going on and just so much intensity there at the end. And then there were those electronic things too that they were doing that kind of reminded me of Outer Space. It was just such a great finale for that album to end it on just such a crazy whirlwind of sounds. Well, that concludes my reaction to California, the third studio album from Mr. Bungle. This one was so much fun to listen to. They somehow blended so many different styles on this thing. I shouldn't be surprised at this point based on Mr. Bungle's self-titled album. I knew they were still going to be bringing the craziness on this one too. I really loved the first track, Sweet Charity. That one started off with that really warm, beachy, relaxed vibe, but then they brought this sort of ominous quality to it as well, and I liked the dynamic between those two sounds. And also track 6, Pink Cigarette, again, kind of had a softer quality to it. I loved his voice on that one, but this whole album was just fantastic from beginning to end, and they really pushed the boundaries of genre and what defines music, and I love that about this band. I'm really looking forward now to hearing their second studio album, Disco Volante. I'll try and get to a reaction to that one real soon, and yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.